I know, no joke. We're gonna change it up one day. All right, guys, we are back with another great episode of Basscast Radio. I hope you guys are doing well out there tonight. What a week it's been here at the Basscast. The Basscast spent all last week on Kerr Lake for the Angler's Choice Team Tournament Trail. That's pretty awesome, Bass Geek. Something we haven't had in quite a while happened this past weekend is two different events, same lake, same winners.
Ooh.
It was a little over 18 day one and 17 something on day two by the same winner, Steve Roberts and Mark Cooper. Congratulations to them. But wow, I bet you it's been, holy cow, 4 or 5 years since we've had a back-to-back winner on Kerr Lake at the Angler's Choice event. And that was pretty cool. I want to say they took home $7,000 or $8,000.
Nice. I know who to ask for a loan.
Yeah, no joke. So that was pretty freaking nice for 2 days back to back. And congratulations to them. If you haven't checked out the interview we did with them and the photos, results, you name it, it's all up on the basscast.com. So congratulations to them. It was a great weekend. And we got a Hill City Bassmasters coming up on Saturday. Another tournament trail. The basscast.com is a part of it. Well, it's ours. But and we got what else on Father's Day is coming up on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So happy Father's Day to everyone out there. If you're because this won't go up until tomorrow, but happy Father's Day to everyone. And
happy Father's Day. I'm renting my dad an excavator this weekend so he can dig me a couple 3 holes.
Okay. That's awesome. Happy Father's Day to him.
You'll have a good time with it.
Oh, yes, he will. I found out yesterday, which was really pretty freaking cool. My dad got a fishing license.
Oh.
Something he has not had in quite a long time because we actually work at the same place. And he spent many years working. And then he retired and spent many more years working. So I have set him up a fishing trip with me and my buddy Jacob. We're going to go up on the James River, Monacan, and we're going to actually put up the seat for the day so he'll have something to sit in. And we're going to take him out and do a little bass fishing. So that's my Father's Day gift to him. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Doesn't beat the excavator. I'm just saying.
What you been up to? Okay, the question was, you guys saw my TikTok. For you guys who watch me and all my craziness, I did a cool little TikTok video yesterday promoting our boy, Bass Geek.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And, he was only 4 away from hitting a number. Did you hit that number?
We did. We are 42,617 the last time I checked.
Thank you guys out there. Thank you everyone that paid attention to that all went and hit the follow button for Bass Geek. And guys, thank you for that.
Much appreciated. I appreciate every single subscriber. And something that I tell people all the time, most YouTubers and YouTube anglers, man, they don't reply in the comment section. I answer every single question in the comment section in every single video.
That's awesome. That takes up a lot of time, guys. So that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
probably fire me at my real job, but I'm going to do it.
I wish I could reply to every freaking comment. I don't get that many comments. I know you get a whole lot more than I do, but guys, tonight we got Mr. John Soukup, the NPFL. Me an inaugural season on top of that. Yeah. Me and Bass Geek were talking about it just a minute ago. We're gonna mess with him a little bit. Talked about he made a comment. If you guys listened to the first podcast we had with him, about only taking home $50,000 because next year they're paying out $100,000 a tournament, and now he won $100,000, which could have been $200,000. But I'll be honest, between me and the fence post, the taxes on that thing would just take it away.
Yeah, you going up a whole nother tax bracket. You win
Yes.
$200,000.
Yeah. So I'll be honest, if I won 100,000, I'd be happy as hell and wouldn't even worry about it.
I
Because
won
once you,
50,000. I'd be happy.
yeah, because once you go to the next tax bracket, that's when it goes bam. And I've been close to that tax bracket a couple of times. So yeah, you don't want to get. Yeah, I did one time. I almost hit the 6-figure amount one year, and I looked at it and I was like, I got raped. I didn't even have it. I needed like 2 properties, 12 more kids. I mean, I was like, no, we got to go back down. I mean, by the time it all added up, I didn't really make that much more money. I
Yeah.
just paid out more money. It looked good. I had this big check, but when it was all done,
Me and my wife are into that
I bet you are.
deeply.
Yeah.
Now, not from YouTube. Don't get me wrong. My YouTube does not pay that well. People, trust me.
Even with the
but
amount of numbers, that's crazy. All right,
but
guys. Here's what we got to do for Bass Geek. We're gonna have to do something really cool, and me and Bass Geek can talk about it afterwards. And let's see if we can get him up to 50,000 followers this year.
that is the goal for the year.
And that's
I've
the
took a little
goal.
bit of hit. Things have slowed down a little bit, but we'll get back in there. We'll get the ball rolling again.
All right, guys. Like I said, tonight we got Mr. John Soukup on. We're gonna talk to him about his Harris chain win, and we hope you guys have all had a great week. Hang on, and we'll have him right back. All right, guys, we are back with Mr. John Soukup. Congratulations again. Inaugural season of the NPFL. 2 victories. Harris chain, 61-15, brother. It's what you won by, man.
Yeah. I think it was a 7 something, whatever, not quite 8 pounds, but it wasn't feeling that way. I'll tell you that. I didn't think that was what the victory is going to be. So I like it though. It feels good.
Sometimes it really doesn't feel like that way. We always talk about, I have guys that we talk to all the time, and it's like, well, practice really sucked and the whole thing sucked. And, I wasn't on a pattern, but and you can talk about that. I just sat down and, had this moment and then went to it. I mean, it happened. This aha moment, I guess you could kind of say.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have an aha moment. I've got, I've got a system of eliminating water, and throughout the years of trial and error, I've learned that it's better to feel really uncomfortable during practice than it is to feel really good during practice.
That's very true.
To just make sure you've just eliminated and eliminated and eliminated and eliminated and eliminated and eliminated until you're narrowed down to where you know that you got your rifle pointed the right direction, And so we had a pre-practice and a practice period, and you building up through that, I kind of really got tuned into the bite the way it should have been about the last 3 hours, the last day of practice, and that's about when you want to start figuring them out.
What's John Soukup do to break down some water?
Man, I spent 2.5 days up there in pre-practice graphing. I didn't stop graphing. I fell asleep graphing. I graphed every single lake besides Popka.
Okay.
And I was looking for offshore, summertime stuff. I was assuming that I needed offshore grass, offshore shell beds, and I found all that in every single lake. And I stopped and made a few casts in practice, and honestly, I got some bites, I caught some fish, but it just didn't feel right. This is pre-practice time,
right?
But I didn't try to hammer on them too much, and so during probably the second day of practice, I found some fish over in Dora, and I decided, well, if I'm going to use these offshore fish here in Dora, I better have some kind of backup thing going. So I'll go to the bank for an hour and see what I can do. So I threw a chatterbait around for about an hour. I caught 4 2.5, 2 3/4 pounders, and I built some confidence with the chatterbait. and this was pre BPT, right? So
Right.
honestly, all BPT did for me was like, oh, I mean, dang, it showed everybody exactly what I had already kind of figured out. So, which is good because that's a part of the whole strategy, right? It's okay. Now you're just going to outfish people. It's not, there's not going to be some secret thing you can do. Or so, practice days came around and I did the same thing. I fished Harris, Little Harris. I started out with my plan was to stay in Harris because I wanted to maximize my fishing time.
Yeah.
And I did not have confidence in the offshore game at Griffin and Harris, or I'm sorry, and Dora, that I would actually be able to connect all 3 days with it. So Harris, day one practice. Let me back up. Pre-practice, I went in and flipped the grass in Harris for about 2 hours. The very last day, I was there for 3 days pre-practice, and I caught a 7 doing it.
Oh wow.
And so I knew not only was there some fish in the grass, but there were some big fish in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, I hadn't established yet that I could get a bunch of bites. I just knew that I could get a big bite was there, you know. So practice time, I went actually into Harris very first, went straight to the Kissimmee grass. I didn't go offshore. And I wanted, for myself, I wanted to establish that I could just get bit. And I probably had 30 bites day one of practice. And I lit them up, man. I didn't shake anything off. I wanted to see what was that. I wanted to know, like, Florida's known for having a lot of fish, right? So,
Yes.
like, if I started getting into some threes or pluses, I wasn't going to keep setting the hook. But I only caught 2 3-pounders, and everything else was 1.5 to 2 pounds.
Wow.
And so you know, it did give me some comfort level that hey, I'm around fish. And I remembered in pre-practice, there's that big one there. So I've got to be able to figure out how to get the big bite. But day one of practice is not the day to sit there and really hunker down and try to figure that out. So I went to Dora on day 2, went to my offshore stuff, Dora and Bouclair, and it was gone. I mean, it had disappeared in the last 20 days. Big old mats of grass.
Oh
I have
wow.
no idea what happened. Some
Wow.
people say it got sprayed. Some people say manatees can get them. I don't know what the truth is. All I know is it was big old. It was gone. It was just gone. So I actually day 2 I threw the chatterbait a little bit around and Dora practice and stuff, and it just wasn't the same as it had been. And so I went to punching. I actually picked up a big stick and actually went back into some super shallow water and 1.5 ounce weight, and I started getting bit. I had 2.5 to 3 pounders, and I knew that was going to be something that I could rely on. So I loaded my boat. Like I said, I leave myself to be really uncomfortable. So once I figured that out, I only did it for like 20 minutes, and then I quit. I ran the lake, marked some spots that looked right, loaded the boat. Then I went to Griffin, and Griffin's known for all that offshore grass. And I spent 4.5 hours doing it. Caught a couple fish over there punching. Found the grass. It took a couple hours for me to find it, and I chatterbaited for a while and had a 4-pounder and a 3-pounder. And to be honest with you, I just felt like it just wasn't for me. And this is all I put it. It just did. I mean, I think the winning stringer's right there. I just couldn't get it to where I felt like I had unlocked it.
Right.
And I didn't want to go spend my next day of practice in there trying to unlock it. Big, deep hydrola. Very easy, I think, for those fish to turn off and go hide down in that stuff. And with BPT had just been out there and blasted them. I kind of honestly assumed there'd be a bunch of guys on that grass mat. Turned out there wasn't, but so I left alone. Day 3, that leaves me day 3 of practice. I went back into Harris, and I actually tried to do a bunch of offshore stuff, and it wasn't going. So around 10:30, I never practiced the shad spawn thing. You don't really have to practice it. I don't know why guys practice it. You just, I hear the dock talk, the shad spawn still going on. Like, so I already knew, I could catch fish doing that. So
right.
I went flipping for the last part of the day. And I bumped into a couple guys and we had talked, and, it seemed like we were all kind of lining up the same thing. And as I was flipping, I caught a 4 and then I caught a 7. And then I was like, that's it. I cut my hook off, and I knew that that's what I want to do. And so I kind of felt like I tuned into a little bit of what the grass needed to look at, like after catching a 7 in pre-practice and a 7 in practice. Very minimal flipping and doing it. And they both came from completely different areas, but the grass looked very, very similar.
Okay.
And so I put the boat, I ran like 30 miles an hour and ran around all of the lake. I'd stop and I'd put the trolling motor on high and I'd flip like crazy. And if I got bit, I'd, put a waypoint and I'd shake off. And I probably had 15 bites in that last part of the last day. And I was assuming that I could have had 20 pounds. I really didn't know. I'd flip in there and lift up and they'd pull down, lift up, pull down. I was fishing with the spring lock. It'd rip rip my plastic right off. So I knew I was on
Oh, wow.
some pretty good fish, man. So that was my breakdown of practice.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good breakdown, man. I mean, especially to find that, 2 7s in practice on the same sort of grass. Yeah, you had to feel pretty good going into the first day. I mean, with that, especially being able to find that same type. So, tell us about your first day, man.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you about the first bait, but I'll tell you I feel like the key to the success of winning this tournament was not allowing myself to get locked into one certain bait, one certain pattern, one certain stretch of bank. Like, when I listen to guys say, man, I got the stretch, if I can get there, like I already know they're in trouble. You got a 3-day tournament. There is no possible way you're going to have that stretch to yourself, let alone the fish behave the same way. It's just not how the world works. That's just not how it works, man. So, to start off day one of the tournament, for about 3 weeks before the event, we had a pretty good east wind, pretty strong east wind, actually 20 to 30 miles an hour. And so it established some really windy banks and it established some very calm, banks. And what I think about Florida, a lot of these are my think-sos, and I think they're right, but, I don't have a whole lot of time down there in Florida, is that the fish in Florida strain bass above northern strain, they want to get into a pattern. They want to feel like, and if anything changes, the smallest thing changes, it seems silly, but the wind direction changed. When the wind direction changed on day one, we took off. It was no longer easterly wind. It was going to be a southerly wind. That's when I made the decision taking off that I wasn't going to go flip in the morning. And I was actually going to go run the shad spawn. So I had ran, Harris and Little Harris. When I say Harris, it's both of them as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had marked some areas that I thought that, some shad, I could see some shad activity in. And away from what kind of the well-known little spots that, the BPT guys have already done. I honestly didn't even want to mess with that area. I didn't want to get myself, I don't do good necessarily. I don't play well with others, I guess is what my kindergartner teacher said. So I picked up the chatterbait, man. I went to work and I was catching them pretty quickly. And I had a limit, but only a couple 2-pounders. And all of a sudden I stumbled in this dock. And I'd recognized the dock. I'd ran by it, but I'd never really fished the bank. And then when I got a good look at it up front, it was like a little mini marina, little Florida mini marina.
Oh,
and
cool.
so I'm thinking shad spawn, chatterbait, mini marina, so I went to it. And man, it was just like Oklahoma. It was every single post. Boom, boom, boom. Just they were on it. And I caught a 4. Really, what was important is I caught a 3 and a 4.5 doing that. And so I didn't have a lot of weight, but I had thought going to this event that like I nailed it. 13 pounds a day was going to get you a check. And then I thought, the high teens would get you a top 10. I honestly had no clue what would actually win it. I think I guesstimated like 66 pounds is what I told somebody. That was my guess, 66 pounds. So I knew that you had to have those better than average fish. You needed to have those 2 3/4 pound plus 2.75s or above to get to that like 15 average, Right. So I was happy, man, with that 4.5 and that 3 when it showed up. I mean, I really was. And so I felt like I had burnt all that I could out of that weight wise. I could have kept catching them, but I felt like right then, like maybe I'll catch another 3-pounder, but my weight was where it was pretty much going to be with that chatterbait. So I picked up the flipping stick and went over to what I'm going to call my juice, where I had that 4 and that 7-pounder in practice. And I went there and the wind was blowing in on it. It wasn't calm anymore. And there was boats everywhere. I guess everybody caught big fish there in practice. And so I went down a ways, went to an area that I'd never fished before. And by the way, I did this every single day, fish new water. And I literally had the boat, running like 30 miles an hour, and I'm running along the bank shore. And then just out of the corner of my eye, there's some grass that, caught my attention, looked a little bit different, a little bit taller, a little bit thicker, a little bit greener, the whole works. And so I spun around, and I think I was still waking it. And I mean, second flip in, I caught a 5.5.
Oh, wow.
And so that right there, that fish, was the fish that told me that, everything that I knew that I was doing was going to be right. So I spent the rest of the day building off of that, and I think I caught another couple 3.5s or something like that. And
you finished the day 18 pounds.
Yep, yeah, 18 pounds, tied for 10th, lost the tiebreaker, so they had me in 11th place, which is fine. So I got to sneak out there without a cameraman without that.
Well, that's good.
So, yep.
So this grass that you were talking about that you were finding, where after you said you found the grass and the grass that you liked, was there more spots that you were able to find?
Oh man, there's the world of Kissimmee grass. Yeah,
I mean, it's full. I mean, I know it's full. There's grass everywhere down there.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a mixture of what it looked like. I like the thicker stuff.
Okay.
Over time, what I begin to establish is that, the hotter the sun, the calmer the water, the more I could either go in and punch if I wanted to punch, or fish that edge. And the fish would come and they would establish themselves, and they'd use that edge as to feed on that edge. But they were feeding on the needlefish and the sunfish and the little bitty minnows that whether they were shad, fry, or whatever that little those shiners were that were up there balled up. When it got really hot and calm, they'd get on the edge and they would just that's where they would attack. Well, I think a lot of guys were tuning into that, and I was too, and that's a legit deal. But what I think a lot of guys weren't tuning into was that on the other side of the lake where the wind was blowing, there was actually fish that were roaming around, and they were feeding on the shad. So you could pull into an area, and I could use my live scope and I could scan around. And that happened to me on day 2. What happened on day 2 was I had a pretty decent sack already. I can go back later on, but at the end of the day, I fished for a bank for an hour and a half without a bite. And I was about to call it, and leave. And I looked down my live scope and I saw just balls of bait, shad, just all getting blown into this Kissimmee grass where it actually had wind on it. And so I put on the brakes, and when I did, man, it was just like every flip. I mean, I really think I caught like 15 in a row. And the 14th fish, if you will, it was like the second to last, it was a 6.5 pounder.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that fish, man, after catching like I said, at least 10 in a row, I caught the 6.5. I stopped. I had 2.5s that I had a balance beam, had to report the fish. I retied because it did all that. I stood up, next flip, boom, 3-pounder. Had to do the whole thing again. So in like 15 minutes in that little stretch, I caught a 3.5, a 6.5, and a 3. And that got my weight to, that was the weight that jumped me to 21.5 pounds. On
day 2.
Yeah.
After day 2, did you say, I think I got a chance to win this thing now?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, it's.
What did you think you were going to have to come in with on day?
I said whoever's in the top 3 had to have 22 pounds. I got guys that will tell you. I mean, that was my quote. So that was my goal, was 22 pounds. And that's why going on. So I'll back up a little bit. Day 2 at start, I actually went to go do the shad spawn thing like day 1, right?
Right.
I went straight to that marina, right? 3 and a 4.5 there every pole, and I didn't get a sniff, man. They were not there.
Holy cow!
So I went to
the wind changed from day 1 to day 2.
No.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. Stinking fish. They got fins, man. They go where they want sometimes.
You done took their buddies on a ride, and they're like, "Man, we're getting out of here. Something's up."
Yeah. No, I mean, I took the live scope out, and I try to jerk bait. I try to spook. I try to do a bunch, because I see some fish out in the middle just roaming around, and I figure, well, this ain't I just never could make that happen in practice or tournament. So I had bailed on that. I feel like I was decent enough at that skill set that if I couldn't unlock it, then it just was too difficult to do. Right. So I went chatterbait and swim bait in the cypress trees, and I caught a limit doing that. Now, second day morning, it was windy and it was rainy, so that could have been a difference, right? There was something different. So maybe that was a part of it. Now that you asked me,
maybe.
Yeah, and there was rain that came in, not first thing in the morning, but as it came in on me, I went to flipping, and I just didn't feel right, man. I didn't feel like it was the time or place to be doing the flipping. I felt like this fish wouldn't be set up on that edge right. I think they were going to be roaming around in the abyss, or up shallower. And I feel like the only way that I could actually trigger a reaction bite or get a feeding bite for me was to go shallow. So I dug in the box and picked up a frog, and I ducked in a canal that I'd never practiced in. And I caught a 5.5 and a 3 on that frog. And so in very short term, and I spun around to kind of fish my way back out, ran into the camera guys, and we were kind of all on the juice, man. So we kind of burned it with all the boat pressure in this little big canal. So I left, and when I came out from this canopy, it was like, man, the sun was out. It was calm. It was bright all of a sudden.
Wow.
So the frog went back in the box, and so I went back to flipping, and that's later in the day, like I said, is where I caught that 6.5, that 3 and 3. So, okay, with all that being said, going into day 3, knowing that I had 2 guys ahead of me still, even though I caught 18 and 21.5, I was still behind like 1.5 pounds.
You were.
There was a lot of guys reporting catching monsters. David Gasson caught a 9, and I talked to some. So I knew some guys were around big fish. Like I said, I thought 22 pounds was going to be the deal. The weather was calling for a lot more rain, so I decided that the chatterbait bite was not going to be my deal. The reason being is I'd caught 50 fish chatterbaiting, and only one was a 3 and one was a 4.5. I'd caught 2 fish on a frog. One was a 3 and one was a 5.5. And I'd caught, not as many flipping, but I had as I flipped, I progressed into a heavier weight. And as I progressed my heavier weights from my 1/2 ounce, that's what my practice was. I went to the 3/4 to the 1.5. And in that range, when I was using those heavier weights, fewer bites, yes, but big ones. When I got bit, I knew that. So I told myself going into day 3, I'm going for it. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do first or where, but I'm frogging and I'm big flipping. And those are the 2 things I'm going to do. And I actually started out flipping because I'd never started out flipping at all, and just to see what would happen. And it was what I thought. It was weak. It wasn't good. I had a limit in the box, but they were very weak, and nothing that I kept for the day. I ran to that canal and started frogging because the cloud cover was there. And as soon as I got in that canal, it was weird. It was just a different feeling that day. The sun actually came out and never decided to do the rain like it was the weather, projected.
Right.
And so I went into that canal, and I got 3 really good blowups, boils. One was huge. It was on live. I mean, it was a monster bass. So I know they were in there, but the day before when I get bit on the frog, I mean, they'd have it down in their throat. It was just huge explosions.
Right.
These bites were like not interested. They weren't taking it. They were boiling on it. They'd come up and look at it like they were curious, and then they'd leave. And so, I knew I could stay in there and try to mess around with them, but I was like, I'm looking for big aggressive fish that I don't have to mess with too much. So
right.
I actually left the canal and picked up the big stick and started flipping. And that's, I think on live, I came out from there, the sun was out, and that's when you see me. I think I caught like a 4.5, something like that. And my weight went to about 11.5 pounds. It wasn't a lot, but it was before that 4, I flipped in and I caught, probably didn't show it all on live, but I caught like 10 fish in like 30 minutes.
Holy
but
cow.
one of those fish, when I flipped in there, all the grass just went, like the whole world just went like that. And then I felt it. And I compared that bite to just 10 minutes before what the frog was going on. And I was like, no, this is their feeding doing this. Those guys were just curious. So, just one more thing that told me, you're doing the right thing. Keep flipping, keep flipping, keep flipping. And so, man, I just started covering new water. I actually kind of not as fast as I practiced, but faster to everybody else. I literally was passing guys, like as they were fishing the grass, I'd talk to them and pass them or whatever. We just fish a lot faster, looking for bites. And about, I would say 11:30 noon, I decided to go back to the other side of the lake where I'd caught that 6.5 the day before. And so I went back into that spot, same time of day, same everything. Looked on my live scope when I pulled up, the bait was gone. And I was like, well, it's not here, right? So I'm still flipping in the same grass, like hoping for the same thing that happened yesterday, knowing the bait, the environment's not the same. And I'm catching some every once in a while, but they're nothing big, nothing's gonna help me. And all of a sudden in my head, it just kept on ringing. Remember where you caught that fish in pre-practice, the 7-pounder, the 7-pounder, the 7-pounder, the 7-pounder in pre-practice, to the point where I had made a big deal with my camera guy about how we're gonna go to this spot, we're gonna settle in there all day, we're gonna, so you communicate, right? Because he's got a jacket to put on, a camera to put on. We're there for about 10 minutes, and I've caught a couple already, but nothing big. And I said, man, we got to go. He's like, well, what am I gonna do? This is a spot. I haven't fished it yet since I've been here. I caught a 7 in pre-practice there. And so we went over to it, and I'm flipping it. And that's the 740 that you see on live, man. I lift up and it's just heavy. And I set the hook on that thing and, you know, I got her in, and dude, it was like all the pressure building and all the, you know, everything, you know, I released it all, dude. I was excited, and I knew that's really, honestly, I felt like I'd won the tournament. I didn't know, obviously, and I
Right.
actually had.
Yeah.
I felt like I'd won the tournament right there, because that was like 12 o'clock or 12:30, and I just
Holy
got a
cow.
7. I jumped to 17 pounds, and I had 2 like barely 2-pounders in the live well. And so I fished that bank for another hour, and actually after live, I caught another 7-pounder, which actually was the second fish weighed less by like a half a pound or like a quarter pound, 3, but it was bigger. It was longer, bigger mouth.
Cow.
Yeah. So
He just hadn't ate that 1 or 2 shad or bait fish. You know, that's just it. He just hadn't had a shell
yeah,
cracker.
she was skinny. I think she just spawned like, you know,
Oh.
you know, within 3 weeks or something, you know.
Yeah,
And
actually, it was funny you say that. I saw a bunch of fish this past weekend on Curry that, you know, big old fat mouths and little bodies no bigger than like his pin. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
what happened to the rest of it?
Big
So-
heads, little bodies.
Yeah, big
So
head, little bodies.
I caught a few more fish the rest of the day after that second 7. Probably culled me up another pound, and you know, I hit that, you know, I went from 11, 1 fish, then I had 17. I caught another fish, and I went to 21. I went from 11 to 21 and 2 fish.
That's
And
Holy cow.
and then I culled probably 5 or 6 more times to get to that 22.5-pound stringer. So
nice.
22.10 is what you had finished with on the
22.10.
final day. So it's pretty awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. Using the
Holy
live
cow.
scope too, that's impressive.
This man knows his electronics, people. This
Yes,
man
sir.
got this stuff dialed in 110%. This man can help you guys catch some fish too. You guys see the bass tank all over top of his head, the shirt, you name it.
Oh yeah.
You guys-
Yeah.
You guys need to make sure you guys go check him out. Check out his company. He's got something great going on. So, all right. I got a question for you. I'll let Bask you guys some questions next. Did you ever think that you would win 2 events in the inaugural season?
No, man. I no. I had a lot of people tell me I was going to win too. I mean, I had a lot of people tell me, and a lot of people got a lot more faith in me than I do, I guess, in myself. But it's man, I don't even have words for it right now. It's pretty. It's just awesome, especially for it to be the 2 of the 3. For the first one to be the inaugural, for the second one to be a week before the classic. You know, we had a booth down at the classic. The Bass World, by the way, BASS Bass World,
Yes.
100% respecting us, showing us love. Like
That's
every
awesome.
one of the fishermen, yeah, everyone. Like there was very few people that didn't come in and just that they knew about what was going on, and that means, you know, everything when it comes to the business side of
Yeah.
what we're doing. So it was really, 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 really cool, and I mean,
All right. I got one
lack
more
of
question.
words for that.
I got one more question. I'll let Basket ask. There's, you know, we've interviewed you twice. We've talked to you twice. There seems to be a real confidence about Mr. John Soukup. I mean, it's something really, you know, I'll be honest with you, it's something I really haven't seen out of too many anglers. It's like,
Well,
you know,
maybe they haven't failed as much as I have.
well, you know, that could be
I've
true.
failed-
I
I've
mean,
failed my way
I'm
to
going to
the
be
top.
great then. I'm great at failing.
but I'm just saying it really is, you know, we've spoken to you twice. We love you, man. You're an awesome guy. And you know, 4 or 5 months ago, who's John Soukup? I mean, nobody I mean, you know, in your other world, you know, your other fishing, you know, everybody knows who you are, you know, with your business, etc. But you know, it just seems like there's a certain, and it ain't overconfidence. It's just, you know, here comes Big John Soukup. You guys better bring the sticks, because he's going to be
Yeah.
bringing it every single time, and he is dialed in and ready to go. And
You're
you know, I
definitely on
just,
the national radar now.
yeah, I mean, you're there, dude.
Yeah, man. The NPFL has given me, without them and the risks that they've taken, Brad and Paul and
I love
Al, I mean, I wouldn't be here. I mean, it just flat out, I wouldn't. The Bass Tank, we talked about that last time with the opportunity with the Bass Tank and the NPFL. I would not have this. And my first word was fish. My childhood dream at 4 years old was to be a professional fisherman. You know what I mean? Like, so this is what I feel like I am. And so, man, I'm just super thankful right now. And I don't take any of it for granted. I know what you mean by the confidence, but I will tell you this is like, I don't feel that way in prey practice. I don't feel like that in practice. It's all the parts and pieces. And what I've learned is that if you figure it out too fast, it's changing already. You've done screwed up. Like, so you've got to learn how to take your skill set and your abilities, and we don't all have the same one, and you got to encircle and encompass, if that makes sense,
Yes.
all of your abilities, and then you got to confine it, and then you got to shrink it, and you just got to squeeze it together until you're left with that last little drop that to focus on, and eliminate all those other what ifs, or should I do this, whatever. And you know what? Give your time, opportunity in tournament to go try it out. If your brain tells you, your gut tells you go do it, go try it for 15 minutes, man. Don't try it for 5 hours, because that's dumb. But try it for a few minutes and then get it out of your head. But keep the pieces together and try to do everything you can to figure it out as the tournament's going. Not a month before. That doesn't ever work.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So first off, give us tell everybody about your company. Go ahead, give the promo.
Yeah, well,
You deserve it, man.
The Bass Tank, we specialize in electronics. We, forward shooting sonar pioneers. We've done techniques and tricks and stuff when we provide tech support, engineering, install to all our customers. We have the basstank.com. You can buy any electronics, trolling motor, accessory that you need off there. We have financing available. And that's it, man. That's been the blessing that's been the Bass Tank has allowed me to fish professionally. So we've got a great team we fish, and that's all we do. We call it hashtag catching, not fishing. Like, we're about helping people catch more fish, not sell you more product, not trying to upsell you, actually try to help you. If your product doesn't work, you can spend $20,000 and your boat cannot start. It happened to me. That's why we started the Bass Tank.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
there's the quick promo. But beyond that, guys, I've got a bunch of the show and tell stuff that you guys wanted to see.
Let's see it.
Ask me those questions.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead, man. Start it.
So,
This is why we love having you on, man. We just wind you up. We just let you go. You like the Energizer Bunny.
I'll slide this across, man. This is my Denali 7.8. All right, N3 extra heavy flipping stick. This is what I used for the event. 7.8 heavy, extra heavy is in purpose. It was intentional to pull those fish out of the grass, man.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Now, with that being said, this is literally the bait. I don't know if you can see close enough. It's still got some slime on it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Soukup.
So we got 3/4 ounce covert tungsten. This is the packaging. It's from Denali. You can go on denali.com and order this stuff. Man, it's no insert. It's polished. Everything that you need. Heavy tungsten. Obviously, it's pegged. Okay. So when I'm going to go in that grass, I don't want it unpegged. I want it to pull down. A lot of those bites were 6-7 foot deep into that Kissimmee grass. And so you need it to get down and you feel it get in that last hole and they grab it. Straight shank hook to me is very important. Now this is a big bite trick stick is what this is. It's got a stick bait body, obviously. But one thing that is a benefit from the big bite, okay? One, you're going to get the highest return on your investment. I think the pack costs $249, and I think I won $50,000 on a $249 pack. So your ROI goes through. But no, on a serious note, guys, it's a little bit thicker, heavier plastic, right?
Okay.
When you're flipping Cincos with heavy weights, I don't think all that salt and more action that you get out of a softer bait is that important. Now, maybe if you're going for a lighter bait or you need to float down, there are times. Yeah. But that thicker plastic allows it to stay together better and it helps you not get hung up as much inside that Kissimmee grass, okay, with that heavy weight. So your hook doesn't pop out as easy, or this doesn't tear at the head as easy. The one thing that they have is the big bite has that slit in the back right here. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah.
Okay? Probably can't. But so that hook will go in there and it barely penetrates, just like got an eighth of plastic there that hook has to penetrate through, boom, and the hook points out. So that is the features of that big bite trick stick that are different than just your average stick bait that I really do feel like plays the difference. I fish with June bug. I had one of these.
The Florida color. What color is that? June bug.
It's June bug. I put one of these grab bags. It's like 100 count on my deck.
Wow.
you know, I fish out of it the whole time. I could just reach down and grab and pull them out. And I literally flipped through a whole bag. This is a little bit bigger. This is the 6-inch. So I was fishing with the little bit smaller version, but that's what I have with me. So that's that, man. I got a Daiwa Tatula Elite reel.
Tatula. It's a good
the
reel.
Tatula.
Very good
Now
reel.
listen, I got the flipping pitching reel and I've got the regular Tatula Elite.
Okay.
For me, I've got a little bit smaller hands. The Tatula Elite is what I'm going to use when I'm using fluorocarbon. Now I go to the flipping pitching when I'm using braid. And the only time I use braid, I do feel like this is very important down there. A lot of guys will still think I'm crazy. I even have my own doubts. I brought reels with me that had 80-pound braid sitting there ready to go. I chose to go with 25-pound fluoro.
Okay.
I chose to not flip braid.
I was going to ask you, is
except
that
for when I was
fluorocarbon
punching.
on there? Yeah, and tell us why you were using fluoro.
Yep. So the fluorocarbon to me is very important. In Florida, when you're fishing behind 10 other boats, there's just times that little bit of soft, when you get it hung up a little bit on that grass, you just got to barely give it a little shake, that the fluorocarbon will slide a lot easier and smooth into the holes a lot easier. And I think some of those bigger fish, they can detect that a little bit better. Now, when they're really aggressive, probably not going to make too much of a difference. But so I told myself, listen, I'm going to fish the fluorocarbon, and if I lose fish, I'll switch. But I never lost a fish the entire time. What I noticed is the smaller fish, the fish under 2 pounds or so, when you got them, they get hung up, and you thought everybody would fight. Oh, I lost a big one. They're trying to pull it out of the Kissimmee. That's not true, man. The big ones, when they grab that bait, the weight of the fish itself, anything over 5 pounds, just sits there on it. And when you set the hook, that fluorocarbon just straight cuts the grass, and those bigger fish start to swim out. And so there was no need for me on the edge to flip braid. Also, you're a lot more accurate with fluorocarbon. It's a lot easier to flip. It's smoother.
That's very true.
I think you get X amount more accurate casts throughout the day. And the more water you're covering, the more accurate you are, the smoother you are. That whole thing, the more you can just keep staying focused, not have that thing where you get hung up and you pop your braid, the next flip, it goes 3/4 of the way out and the braid's like, it caught itself because tightening the reel. All that mentally, I think, plays into the smoothness of the day. And so for me, it was very important. Now, there's also something to do with this line. Can you guys see that in the reel? See the orange?
Yeah, I see it. Yes.
Okay, so this, and I'll show you guys the pack. This is Sunline. All right.
Okay.
I don't know if you can read it, but
I see it.
Power
Yep.
FC.
Yep.
The 2C. Yep. Power FC. And so what this is it's a metered fluorocarbon. It goes 3 feet of the standard clear fluorocarbon, and it's got about a 1 foot string of orange fluorocarbon. And people ask me, do the fish see it or not? I have no idea, but I'll tell you, I cut and I don't tie to the orange section. I don't know if it matters or not. But here's where the benefit of the metered line goes. When you're flipping in 6 and 7 foot of grass, and you flip in there, and that 3/4 or 1 ounce weight starts to fall, and you watch one of your meters go under, so you know you're 3 foot down, and all of a sudden the meter just stops. Boom! I'm that much faster than you are at recognizing that I just got a bite. 90% of those big fish bites, they're big, right? That lure comes down, they just open their mouth like that, and they just sit there. They don't have to go nowhere. You get the biggest, hardest bites you get are the smaller fish that are using their body weight to try to kill the bait. The bigger fish just inhales it in his mouth and he sits there. So I was able to notice that, and if you rewatch that video of me with that 740, you'll see me messing with the trolling motor a little bit, and I look up and I see with that metered line that it had stopped. And that's how I noticed that bite. You don't see my rod jump, you don't see anything else. You'll actually see exactly what I'm identifying there. And that helps you just tremendously. I don't know how else to say it. I think it was one of the biggest tools that I had that other guys didn't have and probably laugh at me about, but that's fine.
That's a neat trick, man. You're not just looking for, the line tick. You're not guessing how far that has dropped. You can actually see it because of the 1 foot intervals on it, or 1 meter intervals. So
that's pretty awesome.
3 foot clear, 1 foot orange, 3 foot clear. Yeah. So the other thing is, a lot of times I'm flipping, and depending on the way the grass is laid, I'm trying to hit the roots of the grass, and they may be out and not actually underneath what you're seeing out a little bit. So I'd flip, and it happened very often, especially by the third day when I was really tuned in. I would see my second meter go under, and then the next flip, my second meter would stop about 1.5 feet up, and I knew when I lifted it wasn't a bite. Well, if I didn't have that meter line and hadn't been gauging it the pitches before,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mentally realize that I was actually on roots. And so I could just give it a little shake, and then whoop, it would fall down.
It would fall down. Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially on day two, as a matter of fact, every single bite on day 2 afternoon, when I got hung up for a second, I was like, oh, here it comes. I'd shake it and it'd fall down, and you could feel it fall that last little foot, and then because that's where the bass were,
That is
they're back in
awesome.
that little bit behind the roots. Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
man, I'm a big fan of big bite baits. I've actually got some swim baits ordered, waiting for them to come in, so I can do a little bit of ledge fishing and get out there this summer.
The pro swimmer? You throwing a pro swimmer? Or what are you throwing?
Well, what's the gosh, I don't remember the name of them. One of them's a little longer. It's a minnow shape. Yeah. So,
See, I missed the big bite baits. Excuse me. Squirrel Tail by Jeff Crete.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think they make that anymore, but I won some tournaments with that. Or they don't really.
That's a great little shaky head.
Yes, it is, and I love that bait. So I'm a big fan of big bite baits myself as well. So yeah, they're a great company and a small company, but with a big punch. So
yeah, I've got one more bait that I used in an event that you didn't see me actually on live. I had it rigged up, but it was this bait was big for me during practice. And why that's important is because it helped me understand what the fish were doing. And when I got on that punch bite, when you're punching in really heavy stuff where you have to have the braid, and when I mean heavy stuff, like my 1.5 ounce weight wouldn't get in. And that's the big bites, the BFE. And this is what I was flipping when I was punching. It's the BTL color. It's got June bug and it's got a stripe of chartreuse into it. You see that?
Oh yeah, we see it.
Listen, I've never been in Florida very long. June bug's the color, right? But then a little bit of chartreuse looks like a little bit of, they were feeding on, sunfish and brim and stuff there. So to me, it kind of looked like that flipping in. But the cool part about this bait and why there is no other bait better to punch on the market right now is because of the thickness of this body here. Mm-hmm. And then once again, it's got that slit. It's actually designed for a 4/0 straight shank hook, which a lot of the punchers will tell you it's not the 5 and 6/0 hooks that you want to punch with. It's just a stronger 3 to 4/0 hook that you actually want to punch with. And so this bait right here, I literally didn't go through 6 of them, and I punched for an entire day worth of practice because they just don't tear as much.
Yeah.
And they hold in place. And what I mean by tear, a lot of baits you're flipping, just the weight itself when you're flipping a 2 ounce, 1.5 ounce weight ahead of it, it tears. Mm-hmm. And so obviously you don't want a lot of appendages and stuff when you're punching because you don't want to get hung up, and you don't want the fish to be able to grab things. You want them to get right to the meat and get right to the hook. So
this profile.
This was not the bait that I won the tournament on, but it was the bait that helped me. And I had it on the deck to do it. We just had too many clouds during our actually tournament day. And by the time that it was time to do it, I'd already caught so many big fish that this thing was like a 2.5, 3 pound pattern for me. It wasn't a big monster pattern.
Right.
So yep. That's my show and tell, guys.
Heck yeah. That's
you asked me to. I was like, no one's ever asked me to do that. So I ran out the garage. I'm pulling things.
Cool,
no, we want to see. That's the whole thing about this thing, man. We're here to teach people how to catch fish, just like you are doing with Bass Tank. And that's why we bring people on. And that's one of the reasons why when I actually got internet, because I live in the woods, guys. I was so happy to be able to do Zoom and be able to actually show people, instead of just talk about it through a podcast. People listen driving down the road, or you can sit at home and watch this video. Either way, it doesn't matter. But people could actually learn. So that's the main thing.
So, man, I haven't got to look at the yearly standings, but 2 wins. Where are you sitting at in the Angler of the Year points right now?
Well, man, I had, book in first and third, but the second event, I had a horrible 15th place finish. So,
man.
So
it was so sad. Let me cry for a minute.
How did they not decide this guy's got to go 15th? We can't do it
because it ain't just me dominating, man. I'm tied for second right now. I'm tied for second with Keith Carson. Nick Provanicek is winning. I think he's 6 points up on us. And then David Gaston, I think, is like 4 points below us. And so there's 4 of us that were the top 4 going into Harris Chain, finished 6th place or better at the Harris Chain.
Wow.
So there was a little bit of shakeup, but really all we did is we started pulling away. Like I think we're almost 80 or 90 points ahead of like 25th place cut, and I think we're about 30 points ahead of 5th place cut. You know what I mean? So like we're all really, really close. And you know, Nick's a heck of a fisherman, man. And I man, honestly, I'd probably put my money on him to pull this thing out. All those guys, really, I have a lot of respect for what they're doing, because just like you said, I mean, I can be over here cheering all day long, and I'm actually losing the race still. So it's
What
pretty
does
cool, you know.
For those that don't know, what is the AOY take home for you guys?
You know what? I would be speaking out of place. They say it's a $500,000 purse for the top 25. You know, not in one
Just-
individual
yeah.
person, but or maybe that's the
Split.
champion. I'm sorry, that's probably the championship is what I'm talking about. I haven't paid attention, and this is going to sound really
We'll have to
corny,
look
man,
it up. It's all good.
It ain't the money for me. I mean, not
That's
the
awesome.
AOI.
Yeah, the
you
AOI,
know,
it's
yeah.
It's the trophy.
It's the bragging rights, dude.
You know, listen, man, especially in our group, and the reason why it is unique and different in the NPFL's group is because all 110 guys fish all 3 days, and
Yeah.
so you know, it is going to be who's really, really most consistent over more time. And for instance, you know, Nick was in 25th after day 2 at Harris Chain,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy came out and caught 21.5 pounds and jumped to 5th place. If he had stayed in 25th and I won, I'd be up on him 14 points in the Angler of the Year. Now he jumped to 5th, and now I'm behind 6 points.
Wow.
So like I don't think you can have these mess up 15 place finishes to win this thing. I think whoever wins this Angler of the Year will finish in the top 10 from here through the rest of the season. That's what's going to happen.
Where are you guys head to next?
We got Pickwick next. I'm actually going to go out this weekend and go do some graphing,
Okay.
pre-practice cutoffs this weekend. Then it's 20 days from this weekend will be, I think the 9th is our practice day. So I don't know, somewhere around the 15th of July is when the tournament is on Pickwick. We leave Pickwick and a month later go to Winnebago in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Never been to any of these lakes, by the way. It's up north, so I'm sure there's some kind of brown fish, but I've heard rumors of some green fish living there too. So, you know, we'll find out exactly what that lake's about. A month from now is when we'll start paying attention to that lake. And then we finish up the season at Grand Lake in Oklahoma here, you know, close to home for me. So
maybe one day they come over here close to us. Florida's closest thing to me, I think. Good gosh.
Well, we had some lakes that way on the schedule, but COVID stuff. There was some that.
I know.
Yeah.
Hopefully next year we can get a little bit closer to Virginia. That'd be pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm willing to travel. Don't worry. I got fussed at today. It's like, you're not going to Potomac, you know, because
yeah.
Because Major League Fishing guys Pro Series is gonna be on a Potomac this weekend. I'm like, that's 3 hours. Brian, you drive 2 hours to go to Lake Anna. What's another hour? Yeah, you're right. I guess you're right. So yeah, hopefully we can get you guys a little bit closer, because I'd really love to go see an event and get to meet you in person. That'd be freaking cool as well. But man, if Baskey doesn't have any more questions for you, we really appreciate you coming on, breaking down the event. Congratulations on another win.
Appreciate it.
We made a comment in your first one that, you know, they raised the entry fee, you know, they raised the amount of payout to $100,000 next year. I said, you know what really sucks, guys, is I could have won 100. Now you won 100 and you'd be like, I could have won 200.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have a conversation about, you know,
be like, look,
yeah.
throw in a little.
Yeah.
Baskey said that's enough, man. Next tax bracket sucks. I don't know if I want to go to it.
And you guys, I'm telling you, the feel and the momentum of the NPFL right now, for those people that aren't aware of it, aren't paying attention to it, this thing is going to be something special. It really, really, really is. You know, I'm on both sides of the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I hear the conversations from the anglers, I hear the conversations from the sponsors, and I know the difference the conversation was 1 year ago at the Classic when they announced that I would be one of the contestants, you know, one of the fishermen,
Right.
to now, and I've seen the growth from event 1, 2, and 3, and you know, it's on the right track is what I'm saying. It's really growing at a good rate.
They do an awesome job. I did miss one weigh-in because someone had to go cover a tournament, but other than that, it's run great. The announcer's name again is
Al.
Al.
Al's the owner, and McCullough. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, he's doing an excellent job. It's awesome. We love watching it, and you know, I guess I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's really good. I'm just, you know, I put a lot of eggs in my basket a couple years ago when this Major League Fishing mess came out. And I was really excited about it, and I was like, man, this is going to help. I mean, this is going to change the industry and stuff like that. 2 years later, people are leaving. People hitting the road. I mean, you know, you just heard of Kevin Van Dam last week. I mean, I haven't heard of him in 3 years.
Yeah.
And I think this NPFL is a breath of fresh air to the industry that it has been missing. A lot of people like the Major League Fishing. That's cool. If you like it, that's cool. I'm not a fan of it. But, you know, I grew up on the old school weigh-in. So this right here is a breath of fresh air. And, you know, you got some crazy ass hosts, Mr. David Dudley and Fat Cat from right here in Virginia and Mr. Lou Duncan. So, and awesome people. Great organization.
Yeah, man. I mean, to add to what you're saying, and to circle back around to something that I said earlier, there is no way on earth in the next 10 years that I'd be on the BPT. It just wouldn't happen. And I'm maybe 10 years, okay, but 5 years. Maybe if I give it all I had for 5 years, risk everything I had and owned, maybe I could get there, right? We don't know what that looks like and how they're going to accept new people. We don't know yet, right? Yeah. So those guys are locked in, man. Those legends of the sport, you know, they're locked in. They got their arena. I'll just put it that way. And good for them. But, you know, I'm still love fishing. I still want to fish competitively. And there's a lot more people out there like me than I think people recognize. And so that's what this NPFL is, kind of bring us back to the old school way, 5-fish format, the purest way of kind of just laying it out with each other and giving us an opportunity to spread it out, you know, 5 weeks apart from each other to where we can still, you know, be adults that still manage and run our own businesses or work for somebody else and can have an opportunity with the way the cutoffs are to not feel like someone's out there beating the fish up for 3 or 4 weeks and I'm only going to have 2 days to practice. So I do really well with very little practice in comparison. Like if someone else practices 2 weeks and I practice 1 day, they're probably going to get me. Right. But that comes from the fact that my entire life I've had to work, and okay, tournament time. Work, tournament time, you know? And doing a lot of Bass Nation stuff. Our Bass Nation here in Oklahoma, they changed the rules several years ago. And that's the thing, that's where I came out of, was the Bass Nation group. And our tournaments would be off limits Monday through Friday. We would practice Saturday and the tournament was Sunday. You had 1 day of practice. You could practice the weekend before, but I learned through trial and error that
that's awesome.
Fish change. So my Saturday before was a lot like what I do now, and a lot of like what some of the best guys in the elites are doing, and a lot of what the best guys in the BPT are doing for practice. They cover a lot of water, man, and that's, you know, that's what I'm used to, and that's, so this fits me.
Well, I like the fact that they are spreading it out because, you know, on the other 2 tours, you know, you see them fish pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn all the time. You know, I like to see guys fishing. You know, you know, the anglers themselves didn't care too much for it last year. But I think the one positive was that guys that are like me, real fans of the sport, you know, I want to see the guys, you know, that are the pros, the really, really good sticks like yourself, go out, man, and catch them when the fishing's maybe not, when anybody can go out and pull a lottery ball 7-pounder out. You know what I'm saying? I like to see it when you guys get to go out there, you know, the Harris chain, man, you know, it's how often do they are any of the big tours, you know, you know, the BASS or, you know, MLF, how many times are they down there at the time of year you guys were down there? You know, you just don't see it. So it's nice to see guys do the things that make you separate you guys from the weekend warriors like myself. You're some of the best sticks out there. Show me what you do when the fishing's tough.
Well, and to add to what you're saying there, if you guys think about it, some of the old, and I'm not knocking it. We're comparing, right? Like,
Yes,
there's a difficult thing that this NPFL to win angler of the year is going to have. And listen, anybody can get on a hot streak, and it can be springtime around the spawn.
Yeah.
And if you run into 3 or 4 lakes within the spawn in a month or two, you can still feel that hot streak, and jump. And we've all been there.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
where you get, and you're just like win, 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 win. And here's the deal, man. This is a win. Now you better keep your head right for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And fish. And now it's a new lake, new waters. They're no longer pre-spawn. I was catching them pre-spawn to maybe a little post-spawn at Eufaula to, at Wright Patman. Now they're up on the bank spawning and a little bit of post-spawn. And then now 5 weeks later, again, down in Florida, where our fish has just spawned. Those fish are probably, a lot of those have been done spawn since January, and some of them, more recent. And now it's, they're setting up in their summer patterns down there. And so now our next event, it's 5 weeks later on Pickwick in July, where everybody in the world knows that those fish are going to be beat up at that point. They're going to be exhausted.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And so it's going to be very interesting to see if someone can power fish or if they're going to have to, finesse fish. And then when you're finesse fishing, and if you're offshore and finesse fishing, do you have the confidence to sit on that school? And can you read that school right? Can you make the accurate cast? And can you leave it there long enough with confidence to get bit, to win, to bring 15 fish in that will win a tournament? I think that's going to be the challenge. And if you compare just those 4 events, and then when we're done, we're still only 2/3 done with our season. We're still going into, now we're going up north in the summer, and then we're coming down and we're in Grand in the stingy part of the fall. We're not even going to show up at the good part of the fall. We're down there when all the championships are down there, and that lake's going to be beat up. Yeah. And I'm not complaining about it. I like it. It's a grind. It's different. So that bookend of season, I think, is a very unique deal. And then, we're not even talking about the championship, which is, to be announced. We still don't even know where we're fishing. But we know it's going to be like November, 1st of November.
Yeah. So that's my tournament. I mean, I ran a winter tournament series here for a long time, and boys loved it. I mean, but it takes a different angler to fish that time of year. So, and like Basky said, last year for me was awesome. I was really excited to see, it was a different side of these pro anglers that we got to see of, hey, some of you guys are going to suck. I mean, it's going to, you're going to have to put your big boy britches on and go find these things. They ain't just laying up on the banks like hungry and, eating shad and stuff like that. I mean, some of them got lockjaw, and I mean, you can't get them to bite for nothing. So, I mean, it was something different that we got to see, and, it kind of helped some anglers and hurt some anglers, but it's, it was awesome. I thought it was great. So
that's why I love your tour, man. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch.
Guys, John, thank you for coming on with us again.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to have you back on. Hang on with us after we leave here for a second. But we appreciate you coming back on and talking to us. Congratulations on another win.
Appreciate it.
You're kind of I don't want to blow your head up or anything, but you're kind of the face of the NPFL right now. But I mean,
I got one of those good wives, man. She keeps me in check.
She
sees that she tweaks that twinkle in my eye that I'm something special, and she reminds me about where I came from. So
probably like my wife. My wife's like, she's 5'4", 130 pounds, something wet, redhead. She'll slap me down in a heartbeat.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, guys, man, we really appreciate John Soukup coming on with us tonight again, talking about another National Professional Fishing League win. You guys got to see it. Guys, you need to watch this thing. He breaks it down really good. Lots of great tips, lots of great information. I mean, I'm over here just, I scribbling notes and stuff like that. So myself. So, because I ain't the best angler in the freaking world. I ain't even that damn good of an angler, period. I know the lingo and I know how to talk. And that's why I brought on Bass Geek. He's a professional.
Oh, no. No.
Professional people,
I've
a
been
YouTube
doing
professional.
it. Yeah, I'll take a YouTube professional. I won't even take that. I don't do that for a living yet.
But our
I
goal
just,
is to get him there.
man, I've been doing it for a long time. At one point in time,
A hell of
you
a lot
know,
longer than me, though.
wanted to make a run at it, but family life, man. Kids got
Oh,
got
yeah.
married young, so that whole story. But enjoying the YouTube channel and getting to meet people that way, and gonna hopefully I got some housework and stuff, so finishing it up this weekend or next week. But after that, hopefully I'm gonna start doing some fishing on some local lakes. And if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure you do. It's Bass Geek
Yes,
Fish.
yes, yes.
And what I'll do is I'll just throw it out there, a few days ahead of time, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be at this lake. Who wants to go fishing? And so, if 2 or 3 people, I'll just pick somebody out of a hat and say, hey, meet me at this boat ramp this time, and let's go see what we can do.
There you go. All right, guys. If you guys can see it, there it is. Let me see which way I got to go. There's the channel. Make sure you guys go follow Bass Geek. The link's in there to his YouTube channel as well.
It is.
And like I said, go head on over to there and hit the follow button. We have a goal of 50,000 followers this year for Bass Geek, so let's make it happen, guys. Brother, awesome show.
Awesome show.
We appreciate you guys listening. If you guys didn't know, Bassmaster Classic wrapped up last weekend. We really want to get John on because he was the weekend before that. So next week, we're going to get a Bassmaster Elite Angler on. That's our game plan. And we're going to talk about the wrap up of the Bassmaster Classic. And
yeah, a guy with a manly name won it, Hank, which is,
that's
by the
right,
way,
Hank the Bass
I think he
Geek.
was named. I think he was named after me. I'm pretty sure.
All right, we're getting deep here, right here at this end of the show.
I'm not that old, people. I'm old, but I'm not that
No,
old.
definitely not that old. All right, guys. Again, we hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. We'll be talking to you guys really soon. Thank you to everyone who made it possible. Head on over and check us out on outdoorobsessionsradio.com. That's where you can see all the podcasts from Backstage Fishing, which I recorded one of those earlier, going up now, and Way of Fishing and the Basscast Radio. So have a great night, everyone. And we look forward to talking to you guys soon.